What is your view of Jewish people, of Judaism?
Yeah.
For the record, what's your view?
My view is that, Judaism is a faith. Israel is a state, and it is not above critique. And that what Bibi Netanyahu has done to the Palestinians since October 7th is a Holocaust. It is a Holocaust that is being committed on Palestinian children and women.
That I disagree with. I do. What is happening in Gaza is not a Holocaust. It isn't. And I'm going to explain why. But I do agree with her when she says that Israel is not above criticism. Nothing, no one should ever be above criticism. The reason why I don't think this is a Holocaust is because Israel is not killing Palestinians because they want to or because they hate their race or religion. Israel is fighting against Hamas. Hamas is an Islamic terrorist group that are willing to sacrifice women and children and have vowed to kill every Jew on earth. And unfortunately, because of the way Hamas fights, a lot of innocent people are dying as a result. Candace Owens disagrees. She thinks what is happening is a Holocaust because she is convinced that Bibi Netanyahu allowed October 7th to happen in order for Israel to target and kill Palestinians.
And so I want to use my platform to say that I believe that they are intentionally executing a Holocaust. I think Bibi Netanyahu, there's tons of evidence, and obviously the Western media is not reporting on this, but the corruption trials that are going on with Bibi Netanyahu pertaining to October 7th and him editing the transcripts and the prior knowledge that he knew is now becoming extremely pertinent. It is a question as to whether or not he allowed the attacks to take place, essentially to then be able to go in and to commit this Holocaust against the Palestinians. Now, based on everything that I've looked into and stuff that I had not seen before, because the Western media doesn't cover it, Bibi Netanyahu caught off camera speaking about how he had no intention of following the Abraham Accords and how he was going to get around it. He has, I believe, genocidal ambitions, and that's enough. We don't need to dispute, go backward or forward. Do I think Bibi Netanyahu has genocidal ambitions against the Palestinians? The answer is yes.
I disagree. If her allegations are true, then why wait almost 20 years for Netanyahu to fulfill his genocide ambitions, in which during such time Hamas could have turned Gaza into a prosperous city instead of consistently attacking Israel? Let's be clear. First, Israel did not start this war. Hamas did when they murdered 1,200 Jews in Israel's soil on October 7th. Second, Hamas hasn't stopped attacking Israel since Israel completely withdrew from Gaza in 2005 via launching missiles and suicide bombers. Third, Hamas made it perfectly clear on their charter by quoting a hadith from their religious scriptures that the end times will not come until every Jew is dead. Fourth, and I think this is perhaps more relevant because it explains why the death toll is as high as it is and why so many people, including Candace Owens, are calling it a Holocaust, which I completely disagree with. Fourth is how Hamas conducts warfare. Hamas are not fighting against the IDF in army fatigues so that the IDF can distinguish between a civilian and a soldier. Hamas dress like civilians. Hamas will launch missiles from schools and hospitals and then go and mix with civilians. Candace Owens admitted that there had to be a response after October 7th. What she didn't think through, in my opinion, is how you fight an enemy that dresses like civilians and clearly does not mind sacrificing its own women and children in order to achieve its political and religious goals. When she was asked how would she defeat Hamas, she gave a very vague, naive and unrealistic answer, in my opinion. She said,
But what Hamas did on behalf of the Palestinian people on October the 7th was an utterly heinous terrorist attack.
Absolutely. No question about it.
So my question would be, let's go back to October the 8th. What should have been Israel's response to that, given the scale of it?
Well, first and foremost, there had to be a response. And we know that the IDF is very capable of a surgical tactical response because they've done it over the years plenty of times in which they're able to take out terrorists. We just watched them execute a beeper attack
Right.
and hit out Hamas terrorists. So
Which I think is a very relevant point, because if they could do that to 3,000 Hezbollah terrorists, why couldn't they be as precise with Hamas?
because they don't want to be. They want to level it because they want to take it over. And I believe, and you can see this, by the way, in the videos of the settlers dancing. I mean, why do they have settlers already ready? Doesn't that seem strange that this quickly you already have settlers that are going in and taking over the territory, and you're hanging, children's toys?
But what should Israel have done, though? What would have been?
They should have just taken out the Hamas terrorists.
How do you do that when they're embedded amongst civilians?
Listen, I'm not an IDF minister, but what I can say is, going back to that beeper attack, it seems pretty precise, and there have been many examples of them doing that in the past. So I just don't buy the BS of we actually just have to take down entire towers and buildings. It doesn't even make sense. I mean, I'm not an engineering major, but if you're telling me that there's a tunnel under everywhere, you only have to hit a tunnel at a couple of points to render it completely useless. So the idea that they had to level the entire place plus go out into refugee camps doesn't make any sense. Like I said, I think their goal, and as they do, they have all these policies mowing the lawn, where they kill a certain amount of Palestinians every year. This is genocidal. The aims here are genocidal.
Your father-in-law.
This is where me and Candace part ways. I don't think she knows what she's talking about here. Essentially what she's saying is that since IDF was capable of surgical tactical responses in the past, then they should have responded in the exact same way after October the 7th. I wonder if she thinks America after 9/11 should have also been surgical with their response, because America killed 1 million people in Iraq, not to mention Afghanistan, and I haven't seen the same vitriol for America as we've seen for Israel coming from her. I wonder if she calls the invasion of Iraq a Holocaust. The truth is that just because IDF was capable of a surgical attack against Hezbollah or whoever else, it doesn't mean that they would be able to do the same with Hamas and be as successful. This is why she couldn't detail any logistics when it came to how it actually would work on the ground. It's easy to look from the outside in and say they should do this and they should do that. The fact is that she has no solutions when it comes to defeating Hamas, which is Israel's primary goal. Also, another very important observation that Candace doesn't take into account is the fact that Israel has said that the war would stop today if Hamas released the hostages and surrendered. Now, does that sound like someone who wants to commit Holocaust? It's Hamas that doesn't want to end the war, and I believe it's for religious reasons. Muslims have been trying to conquer Israel since the very first caliphate in 632. From the very beginning, this has always been one of their goals. This is nothing new. So what's the solution? The solution is for Hamas to stop its aspirations of conquering a land that doesn't belong to them. But is that ever going to happen? No. Unfortunately, the consequences will be even more war. Because in my opinion, if there's a group who wants to see more war, it's Hamas. This is how sickening Hamas is. Hamas also understands that the more Palestinians die, the more the world will turn against Israel. So they're using this to their advantage. This is how sick Hamas is. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the reaction. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time, all right? Peace.